Hello there, and welcome to 10 advanced tips and tricks for 2-Point Museum. In this video, I got very broad strokes for you for the entirety of the campaign mode with things that will help you to make your museums more successful and get you through the gameplay progress smooth and with much enjoyment. So, the first thing in this video that I want to talk about, number one, is be generous with security people. Unlike other staff, security guards are always doing something useful. I mean, it comes to the point where it would be too much, sure. But unlike other folks, these guys have a pretty heavy task. For one, they ought to carry all that heavy money here. And no, it's actually about them taking a lot of time to prevent crime. Because every time one of your exhibits is ought to be stolen and all, your security guy who prevents that is busy quite some time, and therefore there's more work for the others. And I made the experience that while other staff falls on my pocket eventually and I really get annoyed by them being too many, security are those folks where I'm always happy to have 2 or 3 too many of them, because it always pays off one way or another. Because seriously, the crime part later down the road is really something serious. Got another tip later down the road on this video too. Number 2, do lots of training. So your staff will unlock over the course of the time more and more qualification slots. Not only do they grow really unhappy if you don't fill these slots, it also makes them just so much better. If you don't have any ideas, you just put aerodynamics or customer services in there. The fun part here is that these guys, they can level up the same skill several times. So if you just put aerodynamics onto every slot, it just ranks up and you have a very, very fast employee at some point. You can mix and match and do whatever you want, but at the end of the day, it's really important to have your learning room as much used as possible, because it just pays off so much. The training is extremely valuable. The only thing, as you see here, when you train people is you need always one person more, because there's always 1 or 2 people in training. So, which brings me to number 3, room templates. For one, I want to showcase here a nice little room template for the learning room. It's the smallest possible size. It has everything it needs in there and has 2 learning desks, so 2 people can learn at the same time there. And since I'm a lazy guy who doesn't want to have to do this every single time, because it is a little bit finicky to put these things together, you can just save room templates. And when you want to build them, you find them over here, and here I have everything I need to replicate that. Since in the campaign mode, or generally when you play this game a lot, there's a lot of repetitive patterns, room templates are really, really nice time savers. Be it for toilets or the learning room or whatever. I mean, there are so many things that come again and again and again, and it's really nice to cut down your total amount of clicks down from 5 to 1. I personally like doing this. Number 4, the expedition grind. So expeditions are a vital and important part of the game, but what I personally failed to realize for a pretty long time is that whichever museum I currently play, I can grab exhibits from all of these places, which leads to nice advantages like, for example, the greasy fields have an extremely low expedition cost versus the amount of money that you get when you sell those exhibits. So if you ever feel like you don't know what to do with your helicopters and you're currently too broke for whatever, just send them over to some place where they can get money back for you. I mean, obviously, the best thing to do is stick to your current chapter where you're at and do pick up as many exhibits that fit to your current progression part. But the fun part is that you can mix and match everything that you have unlocked, and some of these expeditions are so cheap versus the income that you can actually earn money with that. It's pretty fun, especially since you can see you can have more than 1 helicopter pad, and well, I don't want to say you should industrialize things, but you can industrialize things. I'm just saying. Jokes aside, at the end of the day, you should always try to get your expeditions down as efficient as possible, but situations where you just wait for money can be filled with stuff like that. It goes even further when we use things like the haggling handbook, which bring the cost of our expeditions even lower. There's plenty of wriggling room for that, and I'll leave the rest up to your micro management desires. Number 5, staff wings. So here I have this entire part of my museum locked off with a staff-only door. This toilet room here is still connecting the two parts with one another, but I have configured it in a way that guests are no longer allowed, so we have now not only a shortcut, but also toilets that are only usable for our staff. Parts like these are useful because they limit the guests to where they should be, which means your security does not need to patrol dead areas. Areas like these, when there would be staff areas here, guests would just meander there and do their littering and do whatever they do, stuff you just don't want to have necessarily spread all over your place. Instead, you can bundle it up with stuff like these. And I personally really like the fact that you can make sure that you always have your staff somewhere visible when they're currently on break. Number 6, don't overplan. This game has endless adaptability. You know, you can, with 2 Point Museum, pick up every part of your build and place it down somewhere else. You can rotate it, you can change it so quickly. Walls can be drawn up on the fly and destroyed. If you have the urge to do things right, you can do, and you don't need to do it right from the get-go because you don't need to, because it's almost impossible to do so, because this game loves to throw new little things at your head that you need to reorganize and replan your previous stuff. So reorganizing is heavily part of the game, and if you are suffering from this itch to restart to do things right next time, this game is heavily optimized to not having you to do so. And I'm personally pretty prone to this behavior. Gotta admit, we all have our weaknesses, and I really enjoy that with this game it's so gosh darn easy to put everything just on pause and redraw and redesign and reorganize that I really can recommend. Just wing it at first and organize it later. It works perfectly fine like that. And number 7, while we are at it, I want to talk about specialized wings. You see, there are several different branches of exhibits that we can have, and each of these have different needs, attract different people, and some of them are even antagonistic towards each other. So the frozen stuff and the botany exhibits are needing, one needs cold and the other needs heat. This doesn't sit well with one another, so you benefit from putting these things together in so many ways. So at the end of the day, specialized wings are really helpful for organizing tours, because you see those tours, they want to be topic bound and as short as possible as well, so you benefit from that part as well. And I even go as far as bringing in sometimes, oh come on guys, get that done, bringing in sometimes wings that are specifically for commerce, gift shops, cafeterias and stuff like that. Lump them together at one point and you have again the same benefit that you have all the litter generation at one point, you have all the necessary staff bundled at one point, so you could bring a staff wing and a commerce little district close to each other, so you benefit from the logistical advantages there by just having your staff and your staff wing. You know, these things, having these things close together helps out a lot, and there's so many benefits from clumping things together that belong together and putting them then intelligently on a pathway. So that is where your mid and late game will be at. But don't fret and don't overdo it early on, just plop down things and think about it later. And when you have some ideas, you can pick up those rooms and distribute them. It's just wonderful. I really like that. Number 9, stuff for kids. So sorry, it's number 9 yet. It's number 8, but it's still stuff for kids. So kids are a very very special audience in your museums, and you have a couple of very special audiences, but the gist of it is they don't gain the buzz the same as the other folks do, and you need to bring up interactive displays and stuff like that. Don't sleep on these. Every museum needs these to be attractive to all of your for all of your guests, except for some fringe cases. For example, the museum down here just hosts professors, and professors, they are really not about entertainment, they are about knowledge, and they tick differently. So while things for kids are almost in all museums extremely useful, I also want to put here on the same point that some of your guests have very special ways of getting happy, and when they appear in larger clumps, you should really try to foster their needs. Now we get to number 9, finally, security systems. So the larger your museum grows, the more necessity there is to get some permanent security down. So I personally would recommend to not sleep on the camera room for too long, because cameras are really, really efficient and powerful tools to keep your museum safe. The problem is just they're pretty cost intense, and at the end of the day, you still need a security on the floor to get that thief once he is found. You can micromanage that manually, or you let it happen automatically, but at the bottom line, it's just pretty cost intense. But it's very powerful, and nothing is more bothersome than having a very nice exhibit stolen because you didn't invest heavy enough. The other thing that you can use if you don't want to invest that heavily early on are the guard seats. I just forgot where they here. Security chairs. These are really good for remote areas of your exhibits. For example, if you have something that needs to stand outside, some exhibits have to stand outside, these are excellent places for these guard seats, because if you have a part of your exhibition a little bit cut off, oh boy, thieves love that, and security chairs are best for these spots. But besides that, I don't value them too much because they bind security people just at one spot, where I personally think they do more work while patrolling, but prove me wrong at that end, because I'm still figuring out the best ways to do this. The only bottom line that I found is that once you are in the transition between 1 star and 2 stars, it starts to pay off to consider where to have a camera room and start tinkering your plans around that, because comes the time after 2 stars that you will really be punished for planning it too late. I personally felt like, at least. So number 10, the last thing, rehiring versus development of your staff, that is. So as your staff grows more needy and moody, and they just want more money the longer they work with you, you might come up with the idea, it might be smart to just fire you guys once you hit a certain level and you grow too needy and rehire you. That's one way you could go. I personally would not recommend it, though. Simply because in this game you benefit so much from having specialized folks, simply because these extra qualifications here, they're really, really powerful. Come on, you janitors, do your work. The downside of just firing and rehiring your people would be to have very low level characters, but low cost wages at the same time. But since you can do so much extra speed or customer happiness onto these folks alone at the assistance end, there's so much you can do. I mean, the pilot wings, not pilot wings, the customer service here is boosting the happiness of folks. And if you just stack that on the people that work in the different parts, it's just amazing. Here at the ticket booths, you can speed up folks to work faster here. There's so many little things that pay off if you start stacking them, that I personally think that In the later stages of the game, you will struggle with low quality staff because they will not work fast enough for the demands of the later stages of the game. And it will end up with you having to hire even more people to keep up with the strain. And I might even argue that you might even spend more money at the end of the day for less specialized people, but more of them. Let me know what you think. These are 10 things that I personally found very, very helpful to progress through the campaign mode. And yeah, let me know what you think. Still working on more while I'm enjoying the progress through the game. I'm all ears. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, check out the description box. Feel free to support the channel. Many thanks for all of you who do, and a lot of thanks for watching this video up until the very end. Appreciate you taking your time, and I hope you have a great day.